live. Just keep me posted in the comments because yesterday was a shit show with audio. So if you can just keep me posted in the comments of it, if we both, well, we know Joshua's going to look good. If we appear okay, and if I sound good and if he sounds good. Yeah, we don't do look like on this, but Pedro looks like a guy who would gladly pick you up from the airport. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, but it's okay that I look like that. All right, Joshua, thanks for coming on.
Pleasure.
First of all, you last time we spoke were. I'm trying to think if your son was born yet or just about to be born.
Maybe just born.
Just born. How's that going?
It's great. We've just reached the 4-month mark.
Still alive.
Still alive.
That's job one done.
I'm doing an okay job. It's been super fun. It's been nothing like what people have told me in terms of all the horror stories. Maybe we have a very good child, but it feels like it's been pretty.
What's sleep like?
Sleep's good. He's sleeping in the evening from 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. And he's been doing that since 3 months. So
what?
Yeah, it's been
Is that
pretty.
The general reaction you get when you tell other parents?
Yeah, they usually hate me for saying it, but
my kids are 4 and 2, and neither of them sleep 12 hours unbroken still.
So you're jealous of me right now.
And we have another one coming. But my assumption is that the third one then will be like an angel or whatever the male equivalent of an angel. It's still an angel, right? That just sleeps, doesn't cry, never gets sick, nothing. Because the other two are shit shows.
Yeah, it'll probably be the same. Yeah, I don't know. I think for us, we had some, I wouldn't say expectations, but once David was born, we decided that we wouldn't have him in our room. So from the minute of getting him home from the hospital, within 2 days, he was in his own room.
And was everything good? Like no complications, no like worries right at the start?
There was a lot of complications in the birth.
Okay.
So we actually stayed in the hospital for 5 days, and there was a bit of a panic there. But once we got him home, it was like night and day. It was like everything just changed. Okay. I think once you get into your home environment, I mean, I can't speak for all parents, more comfortable, all that kind of stuff.
You know where shit is too.
Exactly. And look, his room is like right beside our room, so we could hear him and all that stuff. But we had him in our room for one night. We didn't sleep at all, and was like, we need to find a way of being able to switch off. So we did that.
I always think as well, like it's even now, if I'm somewhere, I'm one of my kids has to sleep in the room, I don't sleep because I'm constantly like, what's that noise?
Yeah.
Like, and it'd just be them rolling over, but I'm like,
or even just breathing.
Yeah. Or stopping breathing. Like pausing.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
They've got like sleep apnea. Has it had a big impact then? Because like prior to this, your sole focus was, well, obviously you're focused on your marriage and stuff, but I mean, your sole focus away from your home was training, getting your training in, being the best athlete you could possibly be, offering a return on investment for like Invictus, for your teammates, for yourself, all that kind of stuff, like sponsors and stuff as well. And then you obviously can't, I assume, commit to the same amount of level of commitment now, even from the last 4 months. Is that like, have you had to kind of come to terms with that, or was it something that you were just like, well, I wanted to be a dad, so this is the payoff?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think training has been the hardest part for sure. I think, and it's not the hardest part because of training. I'm finding time. I'm getting into the gym. I'm just really struggling when it comes to mentally being away from my son. That's been the biggest issue so far. But in terms
is that like guilt?
It's more just fear of missing out.
Okay.
I think
like he might do something and
like
you'll hear about it secondhand instead of seeing it.
Like right before I came here, he started rolling over, and now he's rolling over a lot, and I'm missing that, right? So it's more that moment. I'm coming to terms with it a lot more now. I'm also very fortunate in the sense that from the 1st of February, I moved back to Invictus. So I'll be moving back to San Diego. And once I'm in...
You're in California, though?
I'm in California.
All the time, right?
I'm 2 hours away. I'm in LA. But I'm moving my wife, I'm moving David. We're all moving back to San Diego. We stay there for 5 months. And when I'm in that environment and I'm training, it is just training. It's been very hard on my own because my mind can shift from training to dad life and all that kind of stuff.
You're probably having to like motivate yourself to be like, all right, I need to get up and go. Do you train in your home gym, or do you go somewhere now, say currently?
Yeah, I go to an affiliate in my area. I mean, I have a space in my garage, but I go to an affiliate too, and I'm predominantly training on my own.
What happens to the house then when you leave for 5 months?
You want to go stay there?
Do you just like rent it out or whatever?
No, my wife keeps trying to convince me to rent it out, but I don't want someone else. I don't want people in my space. I'm very
in your cabinet.
I'm very private when it comes to that, and I'm also somewhat OCD, and I'm cleaning every day, so I would struggle with that. But
is she from there?
No, she's from Newcastle.
In England?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep. Yeah.
Her family live in California as well.
In California. My brother lives in California. We have like a bunch of family in California.
And is that all coincidence?
Yeah. We met in LA.
Are her parents from Newcastle too? This is really fucking blowing my mind.
Yeah. So
I thought she was American.
So her mother's actually from Scotland, but lives in California too. Okay. Her father has passed. He was from Newcastle.
Okay.
And when we met, I was visiting my brother in LA, met her in the gym. In LA, and then she lived 2 blocks from my brother's house.
So her parents moved to LA, or her mum moved to LA.
Moved to the US. Her mum was living in Colorado initially, but now we've had the baby. She's in California.
Did she move for work or for like the mum?
Just better life, land of the free, right?
God, that's really blown my mind that she's not American. I think I've never heard her speak. I've only ever seen her like in your stories and stuff.
Everyone always assumes that I met an American girl and moved to America. I didn't. I met an English girl and moved to America.
And did you guys settle in America because she was in America, or did you settle there because you were like, I want to live in America?
So I always had a goal of coming out to the US and being in California. And what people don't realize, in 2017, when I first got into trying to compete in CrossFit, I was following CrossFit Invictus from the UK. So I always had this big dream, this big aspiration of coming out to the US and training out of California. It was also like the mecca, right, of CrossFit, California. Well, when I got to California, it wasn't anymore. That changed. But I kind of had this dream of coming to California. I really wanted to compete at the West Coast Classic. I was meant to be competing at the West Coast Classic when that stopped for COVID and all that kind of stuff. So I had all these kind of aspirations. So I was trying to bring them to fruition. And it just turned out that, I met my life partner at the same time.
That's cool. So you mentioned there that you're going back to Invictus in February.
Yes.
For what? What's the focus? What are you doing?
I'm going to go and win another gold medal.
In an affiliate team cup gold medal, or
with a team. I'll be
I'll
be staying with the team. The goal is to stay with the team. I think not enough people talk about this. I know I'm a 32-year-old athlete. I'm very good on a team. I know my lane, and that's where I want to be. I think that's.
Do you enjoy competing individually? Like, say, if you were, would you do this as an individual? Say.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, for people that are just starting to get to know me, they think that all I've done was team. I actually only went onto a team and competed in Team Invictus because I couldn't leave the US.
Yeah.
I actually got trapped in the US. I was waiting for
you won like fittest in the UK that year.
In 2021, yeah. And I was waiting for my green card, couldn't leave, and Invictus gave me an opportunity. Then I just fell in love with, obviously I was following the program here and there anyway, and just fell in love with the team, fell in love with the crew, and just decided that was the lane for me.
Okay. There will now follow a series of questions that you might not answer.
I'm probably not going to answer them.
Do you know who your teammates are?
I do know who my teammates are.
So Jorge's gone. He's gone to Mayhem, and he's going as an individual.
Yep.
He's actually here. He's doing team this again, isn't he?
Yeah, we're actually staying over at the Intercontinental, sharing a room together.
So you don't hate each other?
No, we love each other. we love it. He's my boy.
That's cool. And Devin is here. She's competing as well.
She is.
And Brittany was the other female on your team, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so in quarters, 1 quarter remains, you're saying.
Yep.
How many of the other 3 quarters? 1 quarter's definitely gone, Jorge's gone, so you've got a half. How many of the 2 quarters are remaining? None or 1?
I will give you 1. There's 1 staying.
Okay, well, Brittany's gone to underdog, so she's not staying, so Devin's staying.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's all I'm telling you.
Okay.
You could throw names out. I'm not going to say anything, though.
Okay.
There's going to be... So the reason I'm not saying anything, obviously, we're actually drumming up some content at the moment. It's...
Oh, is it going to be like a release?
We're going to do a release of it. It's going to be...
in February?
It's very hard because I would love to say it. I'm somewhat under contract where I'm not supposed to be saying anything just yet.
Would that be in around the time of the Open we can expect something?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%. But I will say that I have... Just like I did last year, I have full confidence that I have a team that can win the games again.
Okay. All right. I think, okay. I think I know who one of them is, but I'm not sure. You're not going to say anything.
I mean, people could throw it in the comments if they want and see if they can figure it out, but I'm still not going to say anything.
There was potentially another guest on this show this morning. Would he be? Okay, yeah. I think he is, but okay, whatever. Chandler Smith, that's what my guess was there. All right. Do you have a hand? So, like, we spoke about this the last time you were on the show, where the general rule of thumb with Invictus is that you earn your spot. It's kind of like trials almost. And then because you guys were staying together, you were kind of told like, yeah, just run it back. It's cool.
Yeah.
This year, is it similar to that? Have you kind of got good grace where they can say like, yeah, Josh, no problem. Like, are you able to like say, I want this guy and this girl, or how does it work?
Well, without sounding arrogant, fortunately, winning the games gives you a little bit of wiggle room, right? Where you can say, well, I want to do it again, and I want to be, Invictus does a great job of putting a number of teams together. I think we actually, what I will say is I think we have 5 or 6 teams this year, 3 of which I believe can make the games. The others, I'm not shooting down, but some people, they just want to be a semi-final team, right?
So many spots
too. Well, yeah, and you want to. Different people have different aspirations, but we're all under the same roof. We're all trying to do the same thing. So hopefully, we're going to have another 3 teams at the games again. That's the primary goal. But I think we've got about 5 teams that are going to be competing. All of those 5 teams, they were selected by the coaches based on ranking and stuff like that, and who they thought would gel well together. But I am lucky in the sense that, I mean, it might change, but for as long as I keep winning those medals, I think they'll allow me to be in the top team.
Do you have a plan of like, say if you win this year, will you just be like, all right, I'm done? Or like, is it as easy as that to just hang it up? Like, will you be like, I need to keep going and keep?
Yeah. So
is it like a dynasty thing? Do you want like a Rich Froning type, always entering, always winning?
Well, I think that would be quite nice, right? In the sense that I think what Rich Froning did for teams was amazing. And I think it would be nice to see someone come through, especially from the UK, and do something similar. So that ultimately is my goal, to continue leading teams to team championships. I had a lot of people that, came to me after the CrossFit Games in 2023, and they're like, you should go individual. You should do this. You should do that. But truth of the matter is, I'm a father. I want more children. And this is not me saying that team is any easier, because actually team comes with a lot more responsibility where you're not on your time, you're on everyone's time, right? So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, but it allows me to still live a life that I want to live. I love being involved with brands. I love doing sponsorship shoots. I love doing all that kind of stuff. So like, I think if I went individual, it becomes a very lonely road where you have to cut back from that and focus solely on the path. It's a very challenging path, but I've managed to get good at this team thing, and I found a way that works. So why not run with it?
And so you're currently one of the affiliate cup champions, like one of 4 or whatever. And then is it a case of just continuing to do what you did, or is it more complicated than that because there are now 2 new teammates, and because the sport changes, the programming changes, and that kind of stuff? Like, do you still have like holes that you're trying to clog up?
100%.
Okay.
Well, and this games is going to be very different, right? I can wholeheartedly say, typically with a CrossFit Games that is done outside, I tend to do pretty well. I like outdoors events. I've always liked triathlons, running, all that kind of stuff. And now 95% of the games is going to be indoors. So what challenges is that going to throw at us, right? I think we could see a lot of classical CrossFit coming back, 4-person synchro chest to bar, which becomes very gray. Like, we could see a lot more of that type of stuff. So there's definitely a lot of skills that are going to have to be worked on there. But when you're a CrossFit athlete, you do CrossFit because you believe you can do everything. So that will always be the primary goal, just continue to do as much as possible. And I think we have a very good methodology at CrossFit Invictus. We have a good sense of unity. We know how to pick out our holes and work on them. We're very open and honest with each other, with our coaches. So we're always adapting,
Is it hard, like, so there's 5 teams. Is it hard to keep that a positive training environment? Like, is there a conscious effort, do you feel, from the coaches there and the people that work there to make sure that like nobody's pissing anyone else off? Or is it easy because you're all have this kind of shared goal, or like similar goal, I guess?
Well, typically it's usually me pissing someone off because I talk shit all the time. Even if I'm losing, I'll still talk shit. But I think, when you're managing 5 teams, each consisting of 4 people with different personalities, I think that is tough. And last year was very tough on our coach Holden, because it was one coach predominantly. We had CJ stepping in here and there, and we had a few others, but predominantly it was Holden. So he had to try and hold it together, and it was a very tough job. This year, we've got a few others. We've actually got athletes stepping up and helping out. You mentioned the name. Chandler is stepping up a little bit as a coach and helping out with various people. He's helping some individuals. He's helping some teams. Sam Dancer's coming back in. He's helping as well. So we're trying to formulate a way where the athletes that have been there for a little bit of time can step up and help and support the crew, so those younger athletes can come up through the rankings too.
You set up a new Instagram page there recently, Dad's
Club.
Okay. What's the purpose of that?
So the purpose of Dad's Club is, so when David was born, my wife was constantly finding content and products and all this cool stuff for her as a mother that she could use with her child. Yeah. And I was like, where is all of that for me? Everything I was reading was content that was pretty much put out by women, which is great content, but it wasn't in the verbiage that really I could understand. My wife was dissecting it for me and trying to explain it to me. So I had this idea of creating a club, which is for dads, but anyone can be part. It's not like, oh, because you're not a dad. I mean, you can still learn and gain education from it. At the moment, I'm just putting out content, but I'm trying to develop. I'm looking into investors and all that kind of stuff. I've got a deck built out of what I want to create. But the sole purpose is, imagine a multi-brand retailer that has its own brand within it. Kind of like, I mean, I'm sure we can talk about these guys too, because a lot of things have changed. I don't know a lot about it, but kind of like WIT in sport, right? Yeah. But for dads. So imagine you go to this website and you've got all this product that dads can use. So in terms of like cribs, baby carriers, all of that kind of stuff. Then there's information where you can learn about, your child aging through the stages each month that they grow up. There's sports stuff on there. There's a community. So it's basically a way of bringing fathers together. I truly believe fathers of the 21st century right now are the best that they've ever been. They're a lot more hands-on. No one's afraid to change a diaper anymore. But they're not getting the content that they need to help support that. So my primary goal is to do that, but also create a space where you can shop and have some fun. And there's going to be sports on the website and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's really like a safe space for dads to kind of go and shop and hang out.
That's cool. You mentioned brands and retail and stuff there. Obviously, as part of your, I guess, lifestyle or whatever, in order to be able to have training as your focus when you move back in February, you obviously need support from brands, and you need like deals and business stuff going on, or else you're going to be going back and scrambling, trying to figure out a way to pay your rent or whatever while you're there. Mm-hmm. Has that changed for you with being a successful team athlete and like being a recognized name in team sport? Has that become easier, or has it just changed? Because I guess the main focus for a lot of people, and like no disrespect when I say this, but like a lot of people see CrossFit and they see the individual sport and they see, oh, that's a marketable opportunity, and they see the team sport. And historically, anyway, there was kind of a thing of like, well, if you're not Rich Froning, nobody gives a shit. Mm-hmm. So is it hard as a team athlete to get the kind of deals that you need?
No, I don't think that's true. I think where people mess up is they don't know what they're offering a brand. We spoke briefly a little bit about this, and a lot of people, they sign a deal and think that this deal is going to bring them money, and they're just going to train for a living. Whether you're an individual or a team athlete, you have to offer something, whether that be content, whether that be sales, whether that be something that's going to benefit the brand. I think where a lot of people go wrong is they're not offering a service. For me, my whole model, so before I was a CrossFit athlete, I was a personal shopper. I used to dress people for a living. So I had to offer a service. So my whole thing is offering a service to brands, working with brands where I can deliver good content, where I can sell their product without directly being a salesperson, by being honest and open. Like for me, my whole ethos is working with brands that I 100% use. I don't sign a deal, no matter how much money it's going to bring me, unless I believe in it and I use it. That brings authenticity, and it brings an easy avenue for me to promote products to my people, anyone that follows me, right? So I don't think it's harder when you're on a team. I think it's harder when you don't know how to pivot yourself to offer a service to a brand. I've been very fortunate that with great accomplishment comes great reward. This is going to be my best year yet as far as sponsorship goes. I'm working with some of the best brands in the business. I've always been someone that has been a go-getter and reaching out. I'm constantly like, if I'm taking a product, I want to work with the brand. So I'm going to do everything I can. For instance, these glasses that I have on my head, Gouda, I was working with them 3 years before I signed a deal. I signed a deal this year, right? So you do need to put some groundwork in, but you also need to prove your worth. And I think there's always opportunity there for people as long as they're showing that they can do that. So whether you're an individual or a team athlete, you have to offer something. And then the reward will come. And I'm very fortunate where this year, I don't think there would have been much difference if I was an individual or a team athlete, because I'm offering a service.
Yeah, it's probably easier when you got the gold around your neck too.
It helps. And then also doing things that, like, it's one thing being like, oh, I'm a CrossFit athlete and I'm just going to go and do CrossFit. But what about other markets? You know, like I play in pickleball tournaments. I qualified for USA Nationals in triathlons. I've done all these other things so I can reach a bigger network and I can reach other people. And that doesn't have to typically be a crossover in followers, right? Initially, a lot of people are like, well, how many people follow you? I think it's more a case of how many communities are you connected with? Like, are you doing events? You know, I'm doing a Puma event tonight. I'm doing a Represent event tomorrow. Like, how many people can you connect with and how many people can you show that you believe in these brands? Whether you have them as followers or not, you can sell in person or online, but you have to sell a service. You have to sell a product.
Yeah. Does that add any pressure for you then of like, you're saying it's going to be your biggest year and you won gold last year? So does it add pressure to like, well, shit, if it's my biggest year, I need to win gold again? Or do you see the two things, the performance side of it and the kind of service side of it that you're talking about, as totally separate entities?
Completely separate.
Okay.
I mean, they coincide, right? Like, so if you win gold or if you're performing well as a team, you're seen more, you sell more, essentially, whether that be the product or your personality or whatever that may be. But for me, the goal, first and foremost, is to be the best that I can be, to do what I believe in, and then to sell product, right? So to be the best that I can be, I've got to try and win the CrossFit Games, you know, and then everything else comes after that.
Were you worried at all when they were talking about the changes? Like, would you be annoyed if they said, all right, yeah, we're going to do the CrossFit Games in Texas and individuals, you're going to be on the 5th to the 11th of August and teams, you're going to be in like October?
Yeah, I think, well, personally, I think that'd be a shame because I think teams are now currently on the uptick, right? From Froning stepping in and creating mayhem and, you know, the way things are changing, I think the team sport is on the rise. I think it has a lot more potential. I think it can go a lot further. I think separating the two would create a disconnect. And I don't think that would be the right idea. I also think that when you think about sport typically, apart from individual sports like tennis and whatnot, you watch football, you watch soccer, all of these kind of sports that you watch, they're exciting when you watch a team go at it. But it's because it's formulated in a way where you can visually see it and it makes sense. We've got to get there as well in CrossFit, right?
So you don't think it's there?
I don't think it's there in the sense that, like, my mum can't switch on the TV and understand wholeheartedly what's happening in teams unless I explain it to her.
Yeah.
She's come to the games twice now, and I think she gets excited. She's actually most excited by watching Roman Krenikov, not even me, which is crazy. So, a great athlete, but I would like my mum to support. I would like my mum to support me. She's there for Roman. She has like a Roman head and all this stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? So when she turns on the TV, I want her to be able to look at it and go, I understand that, right? And I think that's where we need to still get to, which, may I add, this could help. 95% indoors, they can create a floor that visually you can see, you're in an arena, all that kind of stuff. It might help. So let's see. But I think separating the two, I don't think that'd be a good move. I think let's keep growing the team sport. And selfishly, look, I'm in the team sport, so I want to support it. But I do genuinely think it's exciting. I think when you see athletes, you know, that are transitioning over, Noah Olsen's transitioning over into team, you're going to have these athletes transition over and try and, you know, do something in teams. You might then find athletes come through like myself, where I'm like, I'm a team athlete. I want to support teams, you know? So
does it frustrate you when you hear people saying like that Noah Olsen moving to team is him retiring? You know, like, does it frustrate you when people say that it's a step down for the elite individual athletes to move to team is essentially retirement?
No, I mean, when you look at, say, tennis players that play individual and then go into doubles to round out their weekend, some might say, well, the individual is the pinnacle and the doubles is not so much, but I don't think the tennis player looks at it like that.
Yeah.
So for us, I don't think we look at it like that. Like, I think Noah looks at this like a new challenge. He's done 10 years in the sport of CrossFit as an individual. Let me try out a new challenge. And I think you'll find a lot of athletes will come into teams and, you know, I think they're going to be a great team completely, but a lot of people are going to come into teams with this individual mindset and realize it's actually a very different sport to the individual sport. I see great athletes, pound for pound, that are individuals that transition into team, and we still manage to win. Were we the best individual athletes? Probably not. But there's something special about communication and relationships and understanding. And, you know, when one person's making a call and they get tired and you can switch like that without even thinking about it, these things you've got to learn. They take time to learn.
Another thing that we talked about when you were on the show and it gained a bit of traction at the time was like the wheels kind of wobbled and almost fell off about like 2 weeks before the games or whatever, where there was like some infighting, some arguments, some like sounded like just miscommunication, basically, and misalignment. did that at all play a part for you? Or maybe you don't want to speak for her, but for you or for Devin coming back, like, was there any kind of reluctance of like, oh, fucking hell, like, do I want to go through that again?
No, because first and foremost, we had the conversation. I'm like an open book, me personally. I will always, if there's something on my mind, if I think you're a prick, I'm going to tell you you're a prick, right? That's just how I am. And then I might...
You said it like 5 minutes ago.
And then I might actually say sorry afterwards and I was wrong, right? But whatever I'm thinking in the moment, if it feels genuine for me, I'm gonna air it, right? And I think that's what allows me to be open and transparent. I did the same thing with Dev. We actually realized coming back and having a conversation that we have she's like my sister. We have a great relationship. And I think there were some team dynamics that we had to work through in 2023. And what I was talking about when it comes to communication, luckily we had a 2-year rapport with each other that we could bounce back, come to the games and still pull it off. So we've had conversations since then. We've opened up to each other. I have the utmost respect for Dev. I actually think Dev is an exceptional athlete. She was an incredible team athlete. I think she is the best or one of the best female team athletes out there. And maybe people don't give her enough credit for that. So I think it's going to be super exciting to see what she comes and does with this new team this year.
Does your role change now that it's only you and her left from the previous team? Like, are you like, there seemed to be kind of like a shared leadership in Madison. I remember asking you after one of the events and you were like, no, there's no real one person, different people step up at different moments and so on. So does that change this year? Like, do you feel more responsibility as an elder statesman on the team kind of?
No, I mean, obviously now, like at Invictus, I am one of the OGs, which is weird because I haven't been there a huge amount of time. But, you know, obviously I've been doing it for a little while with them. I still want the same thing with this new team. So if there's an event where maybe I'm better leading, I'll lead. If there's an event where one of the others are better at leading, they'll lead. And I think if you can create a team like that, where there's kind of like, yeah, when it comes down to like the definitive call, one person has to make the call and you all need to accept it. But someone's call might be better than the other. So the primary goal is to make sure that we all have our input and we all lead the team, because at the end of the day, we all want to go home with a gold medal. So we have to all have the input for it.
You mentioned like sponsors and stuff, and like some of your sponsors are like a bit off-piste compared to like the regular brands that you'd see in the CrossFit space. Like Puma, I classify Puma as kind of an outlier within CrossFit. Like they're a huge brand globally, whatever. Represent same thing. Like kind of like you were kind of their introduction into CrossFit almost. Like Rapid Rings, you were the first person I saw talking about them as well. Is that like, do you consciously do that? Do you consciously try and find
the best brands that are
like not the nobles,
yeah,
not the ones that are already in it?
Well,
what do you call them? Extrinsic or something?
So the brands that I work with, I wholeheartedly believe are the best brands. And I believe the product that they create is exceptional, and that's why I want to work with them. I do definitely seek the newer brands in the space, but I also am not the type of guy, just because there's a newer brand coming, I'm not going to jump ship. For instance, before I moved to Represent, which is the best fit for me, working with 247 in terms of product, clothing, all that stuff really aligns with where I am as a 32-year-old athlete and how I want to move forward in fashion and stuff like that. So, but moving to them, I was with Wit Fitness for 5 years. So it was a tough call. It was like, do I want to move? But then I had to recognize what's going to take me to that next step. Like, I'm growing as an athlete. Is that brand growing with me? And I felt there was a little bit of a disconnect. Still a great brand. I mean, I know they're shifting out now, but I made the move to...
Bankrupt. You can say it, bankrupt.
To be honest with you, I don't even know what happened. I have no idea. Obviously, I made the move before I knew any of this. So, yeah, like I stepped to Represent because I really believe they were offering something new and special. And I love what they were doing with the community, their run clubs, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's similar vibe to like LSKD kind of. It's like that streetwear and fitness.
But better. Sorry.
I disagree. I'm sponsored by LSKD, so I disagree.
No, look, there's many great brands in the space. I'm not gonna shit on anyone, but I think what Represent do is really cool. They're very forward thinking. Like 247 is their sport line, but the product that they have initially was kind of luxury streetwear. So it creates this cool connection.
What's the name of the guy that owns it?
George
Heaton, isn't
it? Yeah, George and his brother Michael.
Okay, yeah.
So they both own it. Again, great guys. They're also respectfully athletes themselves, you know. I think George just got ready for like a Men's Health cover and did an insane physique change, and we've trained together. And I think it's cool to have people that are like at the top of their brand and they're still doing that stuff. But then also similarly, you know, working with Puma as another brand, they, in my opinion, are one of the best brands when it comes to footwear. And I signed a footwear deal because I really believe in what they do. When you think of like their runners and all of that kind of stuff, it's exceptional. So it only makes sense that they can break into the CrossFit space. I mean, they've now created this new Puma Fuse 3.0, which in my opinion is the best shoe. There's a new silhouette where they've created like a square on the heel, which no one's seen before, which is super fun. So yeah, picking out brands like that. Same with, Rapid Rings over here. When I saw Rapid Rings, I actually hit them up constantly trying to work with them. It took a little bit of time, and we negotiated, and we found a way of working together because I believe in the functionality of their rings. I believe they have something to offer to gyms. Oh, have we lost it?
I think we
timed out.
I can just change my camera. Hang on. Not sure what's happening. Okay, well, we're on this now.
We're back. There we go.
We don't look as good, but we're still here.
So, with Rapid Rings, I saw that they offered something which I thought was exceptional. It's a ring that cleans up your time in the gym. Now, prior to being an athlete, I was a coach. And one of my biggest pet peeves in the gym was setting up rings, all the messiness of them. You don't have that. So for me, I was like, well, that makes sense to work with a brand like that,
Yeah. Elisa says, you can tell Joshua's going place by the way he speaks outside of just CrossFit. Yeah, I think it's
Thank you.
I'm really struggling to remember the word I'm trying to think of about, say, like Garmin, like brands that aren't in CrossFit but that come in. There's a word that describes us. It's not extrinsic, but it's like that. But
well, also as well, think of it like this: how do we grow the sport of CrossFit? Well, we don't grow it by just constantly working with those same brands that are in the business. We need to bring new people in. Yeah. I'm also someone, I know CrossFit might hate me for saying this. There's this whole war on soda. Let's bring in Coca-Cola. Let's bring in these brands, because at the end of the day, I think there's a difference between competition and getting athletes paid and health and fitness.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you look at other elite sports, no one that plays flag football is like, I'm going to make it to the NFL. They go out and play with their buddies and have some fun. It can be the same in CrossFit. We can all have fun in the communities, but there is an elite side to it.
Yeah.
And we need those elite brands to help bring more money into the sport.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's a whole other conversation.
I'm not sure Coca-Cola is the answer. But yeah, I take your point.
That's a whole other conversation. I only say that because I love Diet Coke.
But I think as well, I've heard a lot of people say that if you're talking about health and fitness, that athletes aren't healthy. That they have to eat different things. They have to, because of the amount of calories they have to consume, because of the way they have to live.
But why isn't a can of Coke healthy?
Because it's sugar.
It's moderation, right? If you're constantly drinking Coca-Cola over and over again, maybe not. But what's to say? I mean, did you go and grab a donut sometimes, or do you we all do these things? I think we just try and pretend we don't, but we do, right? And I think it's okay to say, I think where we're having a big problem right now in health and fitness in general, not just CrossFit, is there's this whole play on you can only do this. Well, there's no such thing as good or bad foods. It's just moderation. It's how you handle it. And I think we should be educating people on it's okay to have that, but what else are you doing to combat it? Because look, I'm an athlete. I love competing at the highest level. If you said to me, you can't eat chocolate almonds ever again, I'd probably say, but then I can't be an athlete because I love it that much.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell are you talking about right now?
I just really disagree. But yeah, no, I take your point. it's just different. I suppose my thing is especially since recently, as close as I can, sticking to the 100 words of no sugar, no, you know what I mean?
And how long are you going to be able to do that for? The rest of your life? You're going to fall off.
I don't know. I'm doing pretty well at the minute. But yeah, I think, I don't know.
That's not me saying that you shouldn't, and you shouldn't aspire to that. But what I'm saying is what we shouldn't do is completely shut down this idea that we like other things too.
Yeah.
Again, you just need to, and I'm sure people, maybe this is a toxic way of saying it, and there's going to be, therapists and stuff out there that don't like me saying this, but I'm like, if I'm going to eat something that I know is maybe not the best thing to eat, I'm going to work a little harder so that I can enjoy that too, because I want to look a certain way, I want to feel a certain way. So whereas I might say I'm going to have a Diet Coke, there's going to be a lot of other things that I'll be avoiding, right? So there's just what I'm trying to say is we should never completely overlook this idea of bringing in these big other brands that can help propel the sport into the next thing. Yeah. That's because as an athlete, I want to see the sport on the biggest platform possible.
Yeah, I guess it's similar, I guess, to when Reign and Monster came in and everyone's like, oh, Jesus. But it's it is separate. The games are separate from.
And then look what happens. The brand ends up adapting.
Yeah.
They start bringing out these, 0-calorie drinks and 0 sugar and all that because they adapt to the sport. So we bring a new brand in, they will adapt to our sport too.
Yeah. Was there any temptation for you to find another couple of guys and do a team this weekend?
So we did have a team. the team had a slight change. I was on a team with Jorge. He had a very good opportunity, and I told him to run with it. You know, we're very close with each other. We talk all the time. This opportunity that came up, he's now on a team with Roman Krenikov. He's moved to Mayhem. I thought it'd be a good look for him to put the work in for Mayhem. The same thing when I moved to Invictus. The first competition I did was Wodapalooza with Invictus, right? It was me showing my commitment to Invictus. I would do that team at Wodapalooza. So I said the same thing to him. We had this thing lined up, and I said, look, run with Mayhem, because at the end of the day, that's where you're going to be for this year. Create a good rapport and move with it, you know. So,
and you weren't tempted to find 2 other guys, no?
There was
I heard a rumor.
Which was?
That it was like that maybe you and Hunter and someone else were going to do the team. Was that ever on the table or no?
I would have loved to have done that. I thought that would have been super
He's here
fun
as well, right?
Yeah, like doing a represent team. Maybe there's something we could pull off. Bring in Hunter McIntyre.
So Chris Harris is representing.
Yeah, to be honest, I did reach out to Chris Harris, and he was like, "Nah, dude, I'm not doing that."
Like, so, yeah, I'm relaxing in Miami.
Sorry, Chris, I put you on blast there. But yeah, so I did reach out, and he said no. But I would love to do a team competition with Hunter McIntyre again. Bringing people like Hunter McIntyre into the sport and doing something.
You're doing. Do you do, or you're doing a High Rocks?
I've done many High Rocks events.
Are you doing a paired one with someone?
I did a paired with Sam Dancer.
How did that go?
It went pretty well. I think we finished it in 58 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Anything under an hour is like good.
Yeah. It was good. I think we could have done better. We went there and we was having a good time. I'm definitely gonna dabble in more of those type of races. I love that stuff. And again, it's bridging the gap between like functional fitness and this hybrid style athlete. I think if we can get more runners to see the benefit of strength work and more strength athletes to see the benefit of running, we're going to create a much healthier world. And that's what I'm saying.
Outlift the runners and outrun the lifters.
Yeah.
CrossFit,
yeah. And I tell you what, High Rocks is it's very hard. Yeah. It's very hard, especially if you really push. So I love things like High Rocks, Spartans, Tough Mudders. Look, anything that gets you up off the couch, whether it be CrossFit or going for a walk, I think is great for anyone. And for me, I'm all about just promoting movement. And I'll always be that way. Whether I'm an athlete, an influencer, whoever I'm trying to be, I will always promote movement, because I also saw the negative side prior to movement of how unhealthy I was mentally before I came into CrossFit, and how much better I feel now as a human being, as an athlete, as a father, as a husband. My whole aura has just changed by being active. And, you know, some people are, you know, they promote getting the mind right and then getting the body right. For me, I did stuff that sucked. I put myself through so much suffering that my mind gained more clarity. And there's no secret to when you see people like David Goggins and Hunter McIntyre and all these, you know, elite level athletes talking the talk, because they're really doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Well, I think that's it. Thank you very much. Congrats on your previous season and your family and stuff, and best luck with your current season. And I'm assuming you just win gold and then have another kid, and then win gold and have another kid.
That's pretty much the goal. It's kind of funny. I think
like, all right, Amber, I've got the gold. Now it's your turn.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Even this year, I was like, last year, I was like, okay, when you win gold, you kind of won, right? But then you're like, well, when you win gold, you kind of want to win it again. Yeah. And then if we win it again, I'll want to win it again. If we didn't win it, I'd want to win another one. So it never ends. I'll always be kids. Yeah, same with kids. I'll always be chasing more kids. So
yeah, cool. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We've been awkward like 4 seconds now where this goes off.